Well, in today's video, we're going to go into all of the walkable areas in the Peninsula of Hampton Roads. That's Hampton through Newport News all the way through Williamsburg. And we're starting right now. Hey, my name is Sam Sansalone, and I'm a real estate agent in the Hampton Roads area. That goes from Virginia Beach through Williamsburg, and I do videos every week about living and moving to the area. So today we're talking about walkable areas, places in the Peninsula of Hampton Roads that you can, walk from, like a restaurant, bar. There's some things to do in a relatively small area, and talk about places that you might want to live around those areas to maximize living in the Peninsula of Hampton Roads. And when we talk about the Peninsula, we're talking about Hampton through Newport News, James City County, York County, and through Williamsburg, all that whole section there. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and I'm going to show you the spots I'm talking about. So number one is in Williamsburg. It's Colonial Williamsburg, or what's considered Merchants Square. That's in Williamsburg. Zooming in, you see Colonial Williamsburg right here, the Governor's Palace, right in the middle of Colonial Williamsburg. And so next to that is William and Mary. In this whole central area is an area called Merchants Square. So if you go just west and south of Colonial Williamsburg, you'll get into this area of Merchants Square, which includes lots of mom and pop shops, some restaurants that are great, like Aroma's right here. Also, Amber Ox is a good restaurant as well. You can walk up and down the streets right along Prince George Street and around, and I'll drop a pin so you can see. This is Chef's Kitchen. Amber Ox is right here. You got the Hound's Tail, some restaurants up here, and right where the street is on Prince George. This also has a lot of chairs and tables so that you can sit outside as well. There's more people walking through here, especially during the college season, like when kids are at William and Mary. And so you can walk through. There's a great coffee shop called Aroma's that's right here on the left. And so this whole section here is great. You can walk here and it feels like you're in kind of that local community. Now, if you leave that area just, a quarter of a mile or more, even less than that in some spots, you'll find some houses just on the outskirts of Merchant Square. Now, some of my favorite neighborhoods are just further out. Holly Hills is just south here near Walsingham. This road you can walk all the way up to Colonial in downtown Williamsburg and Merchant Square. And if you want to go a little bit further, there's Newtown over on this west side here. You can walk up towards Richmond Road, first Monticello, then Richmond Road, and that takes you into that area as well. Now, there are some neighborhoods in the central city of Williamsburg you can get into, and these houses are anywhere from like the 4s, 5s, and 6s. A little bit larger houses are also more expensive. You can walk straight from some of these houses up into the Merchant Square area. And so you can be pretty close. You can be a 10th of a mile or so away to that area. However, the further out you go, quarter of a mile or more, you'll start finding more neighborhoods that will allow you more access and more options to pick from. So, the further away you go, often you can get a little bit better deal, but in general, it's gonna be anywhere from like the 4s, 5s, and 6s and up if you want a house very close to Merchant Square. And number two, let's shift further south into Newport News, which is called Hilton. Hilton is a kind of a surprise little nook on the west side of Newport News. So you've got Christopher Newport University, you got the Newport News Shipbuilding area down in the southwestern corner, and in the middle between Christopher Newport and the shipbuilding in Huntington Park is this section, Hilton, right here, which is just off of Warwick Boulevard. And this is kind of a cool place because it has English cottage style houses, and they're so unique. You don't find these types of houses really almost anywhere else in a larger scale in Hampton Roads. And so this is, again, a smaller walkable spot, but lots of nice neighborhoods, nice streets back off of Warwick Boulevard. Like trees, you got awesome sidewalks, older houses, because this neighborhood was built in I believe it was 1918 it started, because they were building houses for the Newport News shipbuilders that further down south. And so this area was built for those people that were working there. And so these are older houses. In 1918, the late teens, early 20s, a lot of these houses were built. And you see you have like 2-3 bedroom houses that are smaller, like 1,000, 1,200 square feet, kind of like weird floor plans in cases. Some go over 2,000. So you'll get anywhere from like a $200,000 house upwards of $400,000+ house. But again, for what you can get for access to not just walking to Hilton Village, the shops along Warwick Boulevard. If you come off of there on River Road, you'll see the Hilton Fishing Pier just down south of there in Riverfront Park, which is right behind the elementary school, Hilton Elementary School right here. So if you go right there, you'll see the pier, and you can, I'll just do the satellite view, and you can see the pier right here. And you're only a few blocks away from that. You can go from both directions. From your house, you can go to the pier. The other side, you can go to the shops along Warwick Boulevard. And so I'll drop a pin too. This is a very unique street on Warwick, this section of Warwick. This is all different compared to the rest of Warwick. And so you see here, like, very mom and poppy. You won't see chains on Warwick Boulevard in this section. Very similar to the styles of houses you'll find as well. In Hilton Village, the village part it's true, it's a village, and I love it for that. I love that it's so different, and it's got just that community feel that you just really don't find as much in the suburbs of the rest of Newport News in Hampton. So zooming out from there, going further south and east, there are a couple of other neighborhoods and areas I think that are worth mentioning. One is downtown Hampton. And I've mentioned downtown Hampton before in other videos about how boring it is. Or just the idea that you have a downtown in Hampton, but downtown Hampton feels like there's something missing in downtown Hampton. If I drop a pin on Settlers Landing Road, you'll see what I mean. This is kind of like the heart of the downtown, right where I'm dropping this pin on Settlers Landing. Well, you've got commercial buildings, some businesses, and then the Air and Space Center, which is a big Air and Space Center, a very nice Air and Space Center that you'll find in Hampton. But as you notice here, there's not much like this. There's no large buildings. There's not a lot of what makes a downtown feel like a downtown. It's like Norfolk if Norfolk had all the buildings taken out of it. Because you have like some nice parks, some water access. If I do the satellite overhead view, this is the water right here. There is a couple good restaurants down here, a good brewery. There aren't as many houses close to the water, so it's almost like there's waterfront access that just isn't as maximized as I think that it could have been. However, at the same time, there are some houses in an area called Pasture Point, just north of the true downtown, right up here. And you can take Pasture Point, and the houses in Pasture Point, which I'll drop so you can see here. Older houses, these are pretty basic houses. You got sidewalks. You can walk from there to Settlers Landing, right to downtown. And if you get to East Queens Way, you'll get to a little spot where you can walk up and down and get some nice restaurants and some good food. Brown Chicken, Brown Cow. But up and down East Queens Way, not a lot, but some mom and pop places, some things that make it feel a little bit more like a community in that downtown. But this is, again, very small in relation to other places we'll be talking about. But I think I wanted to mention that because you can buy a house in and around downtown Hampton, $200,000, $300,000, $450,000, $500,000 in depending on which neighborhoods. For example, Pools Grant is a neighborhood that's also near downtown, which is in the fives. Then I mentioned Pasture Point. Another one's Little England, which has some cheaper mid twos and $300,000, upwards of $400,000 to $500,000 houses in that area. But also in this section as well, there's a distillery, the Vanguard Distillery, and also a brewery, and it's also near Mill Point Park. But all this is, again, a very small version of downtown Norfolk, which we'll bring up a little bit later in different sections. Now, shifting from downtown Hampton is also going further east towards the water in an area called Phoebus. So looking at Phoebus, if you do the overhead, there's downtown Hampton. Going southeast is this area called Phoebus, which is near near Buckrow Beach, which is just northeast of there. And then Mellon Street is the street that is the primary spot where there's a lot of restaurants. So if you see on Mellon Street, it's got like almost like a New Orleans feel in some spots. It's got cool, or like a French element. Got the cool like paintings on the sides, like murals on the sides of the walls. You see like the designs on the porches in some of those spots. So again, a small place. Great restaurants though in there. Fuller Raw Bar. 1865 Brewing is a brewery that's in Phoebus. So there are some houses as you get out of this section. Like you got 2 or 3 blocks and you're from your house to East Mellon Street, where you can get all these access to restaurants. But if you keep going, you'll get over closer to the water. If you keep walking down Mellon Street, you'll get to Fort Monroe. It's a national monument that is a decommissioned military base. So you can literally walk across Mellon Street right here and get over into that area. Got a great coffee shop. It's got called the Firehouse Coffee. So you can walk from your house in Phoebus down across the bridge on Mellon Street over into Fort Monroe. I'll throw the pin on the bridge. This is the water access. You can see the water. That's the bridge. It goes across over to Fort Monroe, and you can walk from your house to there, or walk from your house over to Mellon Street and see more of the center of Phoebus, which I think is an up and coming neighborhood. I put this in my a video about top up and coming areas in Hampton Roads. A lot of cool stuff that's popped up recently in Phoebus I think is worth considering if you want to buy a house that's cheaper and maybe a little bit smaller of an up and coming neighborhood in Hampton. Now, if I was to pick of any of these on the peninsula, I think my number one choice would be Williamsburg and around Merchant Square. I think that to me is the best for the type of restaurants, type of things to do. It's got the community feel, it's got events and things going on in Williamsburg, as well as things you can do even if you drive your car a few miles, like Colonial Parkway towards Yorktown Beach, Jamestown, there's a ferry down there. A lot of cool stuff, and it's the vibe of Williamsburg. I like that much better than the other parts of Hampton and Newport News. However, it doesn't take away from the parts of Newport News and Hampton I do like, and I think that if I was gonna pick another area separate from Williamsburg, I'd probably pick Hilton just by a nose, even though it has some stuff I'm not a fan of. I like the uniqueness of the English cottages that are in Hilton. However, I don't like some of the floor plans, and they're kind of weird floor plans, so it just depends on the house that I think if I was gonna move there. I'd probably pick downtown Hampton because it's just closer to the interstate to get me over to the south side if I wanted to go over there. So if you wanna know more about walkable areas in the south side of Hampton Roads, you can click here. And also, if you want to know any more about living in the Hampton Roads area from Virginia Beach to Williamsburg, you can click on the videos as well, or check my channel out and reach out to me. I've got my contact information in the description. You can reach out anytime and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to the area. And I will see you on the next video.